After a highly anticipated and dramatic switch to Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton's first Grand Prix with the Scuderia didn't quite go according to plan. Following 12 years of success with Mercedes, Hamilton's move to the legendary Italian team was supposed to signal a new era of success and challenge. However, his debut race with Ferrari at the 2025 Australian Grand Prix left him both frustrated and disappointed. A tough qualifying session placed Hamilton in 8th position, and though he battled valiantly during the race, he ultimately finished in 10th place, securing just one solitary point. Is this disappointing debut a temporary setback, or could it be the start of a much harder season for Hamilton with Ferrari? The weekend in Melbourne was marked by chaotic and changeable weather conditions that tested the limits of both drivers and teams. From the moment the cars lined up on the grid, it was clear that the Albert Park circuit would pose challenges far beyond typical race day concerns. With rain falling heavily in the morning, the track was soaked, and conditions remained unpredictable throughout the race. As the light rain continued to fall during the race, the track conditions oscillated between dry and wet, creating a constant shift in strategy, with teams having to switch between intermediate and slick tires multiple times. For Hamilton, this unpredictability would prove to be an ongoing struggle. Ferrari, the team that had lured Hamilton away from Mercedes with promises of a new challenge, found themselves grappling with their own strategy missteps, while Hamilton seemed to wrestle with both his confidence and the car itself. A strategy gamble in the race, in which Ferrari kept Hamilton out on slick tires during a sudden downpour, put him in an unexpected position, momentarily elevating him into podium contention. But the gamble ultimately backfired. As conditions worsened, Hamilton found himself slipping down the order, fighting just to finish inside the points. The misjudgment on Ferrari's part left Hamilton exasperated and searching for the right balance with his new team. Reflecting on his first experience with Ferrari, Hamilton admitted that the result was far worse than he had expected. The weather and tire changes, combined with Ferrari's risk-taking strategy, led to a race that felt as though it was full of missed opportunities. It was clear from Hamilton's words that the experience had been an especially difficult one. Both in terms of navigating the car and dealing with the confusion around him. I felt like I was in the deep end today. Just everything is new, Hamilton said after the race. From the first time I was driving this car in the rain, the car was behaving a lot different to what I've experienced in the past. The power unit, all the steering functions, all the things are thrown to you, and you're trying to juggle them. Hamilton described struggling to adjust to his Ferrari, especially when it came to how the car responded to the wet conditions. Unfortunately, at the end, they said it was just a short shower, and the rest of the track was dry, Hamilton explained. So I thought, I'm going to stick it out as long as I can. I can keep it on the track. They didn't say more was coming, so then all of a sudden, more came. The lack of clear communication and foresight on Ferrari's part was a significant factor in Hamilton's frustration. It wasn't the first time the team failed to make a timely call, but this was his first real test under the Scuderia's banner. Another layer of complexity for Hamilton was his relationship with Ferrari's new race engineer, Riccardo Adami. After a 12-year partnership with his trusted Mercedes race engineer, Peter Bono Bonington, the shift to a new team meant adapting to a different voice in his ear. Adami, a seasoned engineer who had worked with drivers like Sebastian Vettel and Carlos Sainz, was tasked with guiding Hamilton through the stormy conditions, but their communication proved to be a stumbling block. There were several moments during the race when Hamilton asked for silence, clearly wanting to focus solely on managing the car and the tricky conditions. The team's strategy calls and the direction of their conversations over the radio were less than smooth. Hamilton found himself in situations where the information he was receiving from Adami didn't align with his own sense of what was happening on track. This led to moments of miscommunication and frustration. I hung out as long as I could, got in the lead at one point. Just the guidance with how much more rain was coming was missing there, so I think we missed out. We tried to, but the information I got was it would be a short shower, real quick, Hamilton remarked. This lack of information proved to be a crucial error, as the sudden downpour that followed caught everyone off guard, and Ferrari's hesitation to react quickly enough left Hamilton out in the rain longer than he should have been. Despite his struggles, Hamilton displayed impressive resilience, managing to briefly take the lead during the late race gamble. At one point, Ferrari's decision to keep him on slick tires seemed to pay off, allowing him to overtake several drivers. However, as the rain intensified, Ferrari's gamble unraveled, and Hamilton was forced to pit for intermediate tires, causing him to lose track position and slip back down the field. At the time, it was only at the last corner, so to me I thought, the rest of the track was dry. I can keep this on track if that's all that's coming. Then more came, he said, emphasizing how the lack of clarity from his team made the situation more difficult than it needed to be. By the time the rain had fully set in, Hamilton had dropped from leading the race to fighting just to hold on to a points finish. He was overtaken by a rapidly recovering Oscar Piastri, and in the closing stages, he had to contend with his teammate Charles Leclerc and the ever-persistent Max Verstappen. Despite these challenges, Hamilton kept his composure and managed to cross the line in 10th, securing a single point. Looking back on the race, Ferrari's team principal, Fred Vasseur, was candid about the team's struggles. He acknowledged that communication between Hamilton and the pit wall had been far from clean, and that they had much to learn. However, he was quick to emphasize that this was only the beginning of the partnership between the 7-time world champion and the Scuderia. Vasseur expressed confidence that the team would learn from the experience and improve going forward. "It's the first race, the first time that we have to communicate between the pit wall and the car," Vasseur said. "I thought that we can do a better job and to know each other a bit more. For sure, it was not a clean one at all, but the strategy was difficult. We need to find a better way to communicate between the car and the pit wall, but we will learn from race 1, and it's not an issue." The Australian Grand Prix was certainly a baptism of fire for Hamilton, as he navigated a new team, a new car, and a turbulent race. There was no shortage of frustration for the Briton, but also no shortage of determination. As he remarked, the challenge of getting to grips with the Ferrari car, particularly in the wet conditions, was more difficult than he had anticipated. The braking and rear stability, especially under power, were causing him problems, and there were several occasions when he was close to losing control. Despite the disappointing outcome, Hamilton remained resolute in his belief that improvements would come. "I didn't have any confidence today in it, unfortunately, so I'm going to make some changes next week to the car," he said, making it clear that he wasn't going to give up on his Ferrari dream just yet. In fact, it was evident from his reflections that he was already looking ahead to the next race, focused on making the necessary adjustments to regain his confidence and push the Scuderia to greater heights. As the 2025 season unfolds, Hamilton's first race with Ferrari will certainly be remembered as a challenging but crucial learning experience. His seasoned skill set and racing intelligence were evident throughout the chaotic race, even if the outcome wasn't what he had hoped for. His relationship with the team, and with his new engineer, Riccardo Adami, will undoubtedly evolve over time. Ferrari, too, will reflect on the lessons learned from the race and strive to improve their communication and strategy to ensure that the next gamble on tires pays off more successfully. For now, though, Hamilton's journey with Ferrari is just beginning. The challenges are far from over, but for a driver with his pedigree and experience, this tough race may ultimately become the foundation for a successful chapter in his already illustrious career. The road ahead for him and the Scuderia is filled with challenges, but if anyone can turn it around, it's Lewis. What do you think? Is this just a blip on the radar, or will Hamilton face more struggles with Ferrari this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest F1 news.